For those of you that saw our last video, you watched us make a huge mess, but it was effective. But a huge mess applying clay slip using a large mason brush. And I had the idea that there might be a better way. And actually several people in the comment section from the last video had the same idea. Well, UPS just brought that idea. Let's go inside the house and take a look. So several people made a suggestion that I use a sprayer for sheetrock mud texturing. And I had actually had that same idea. So this thing was about $34, and then I bought it used like new, I think for like $26. I had a $20 gift certificate, so it ended up being $6. And I liked this one because it actually came with 3 different size nozzles. No instructions. And I've never used one of these before. But I guess I'll be able to figure it out. So here's the pistol, and it is made out of metal. Pretty clear that the hopper goes on here. So a nozzle is pre-installed. Let's see if it shows what size it is. I hope my expectations weren't too high for something that costs $30. So here you can see the 3 orifices. I mean, it's clear why this thing is $30. I mean, it's just cheap. The threads are cheap. The paint job is cheap. But if it works, I'll be okay with it. Got a nice batch of clay slip going, and I'm going to try the mud hopper and see how that texture sprayer works for getting this on our straw bale walls. first started spraying, it wasn't going through because I had the smallest orifice on the machine or on the tool. And I switched to the medium orifice, which I believe is 6 millimeters, and all of a sudden it began to work. I am noticing that I'm trying to keep the clay slip real clean and free of things like sand, dirt, and straw. If I see some straw in the mix as I'm loading it, I'm going to try to keep it out of it just to prevent the orifice from getting plugged up. This is working fantastic. Not only is it going on faster, it's going on more evenly. We have much less, look at the ground over here. On prior occasions where we would work with the brush, that would literally be a puddle of slip. And now there's hardly a drop on the floor. We're saving a lot of material. It's going on better, and it's going on a lot faster. So even though this is, quite honestly, a piece of junk, it's working. Okay. If you look carefully, you'll see all the way at the bottom that it is actually filled with sand and other aggregate. And I did my best to keep that out of the mix, but unfortunately it's in there. And what I just learned was if it's plugged at the bottom, like you see it right there, you're going to have to stop, clean it out, and start over again. Just a quick rinse with the hose, and you can see that it's now clear down there, and I'll be able to reload and continue spraying. Spraying this portion of the wall, including the experimentation and change of orifice, took about 10 minutes. So now that I know how the system works, this should be less than a 5-minute spray job for an area that size. Very little overspray, which is nice. I tried to get right at the bottom, and you'll see along the sill that it's not that dirty. It'll clean off easily with water. And up top, same thing, just a little minimal overspray, but it laid down a nice even coat of slip. And now Yvonne can finish plastering. My work is done.
And mine just started.
At the end of the day, when we have some earthen plaster left over, Yvonne comes back and she starts working on the corners and getting them as vertical and square as possible. And then I come in with a couple trowels and do a little bit of the finish work. And when I say finish work, this is just the first coat. We're trying to square up the corners and get them prepped for the final coat. But we've decided the final coat is going to have a small radius to it. The corners, I should say, are going to have a small radius to it. So I'm going to wait for this to firm up a little bit, and then I'm going to come over with a round over trowel and just knock this sharp edge off. This is the trowel I was talking about. And typically you'll see this when people are making concrete sidewalks. This is an edging tool to give it sort of a round over profile. But we can use this on our wall also, just to knock off the sharp edge. If you look here, you can see I haven't used the tool yet. And as you go down here, you can see the round off. I think this will just be a more structurally stable corner and will be less prone to chipping in the future. Again, this is the first coat. I'm kind of playing around. But this is the part of the plastering that I like. So I'm just going to take this and run it down from both sides. Just to knock the edge off. And it gives a nice rounded over corner. We just had our first big monsoon storm, and I'm out looking at the southern exposure, and you can see that the top extraneous amounts of clay have been washed down, exposing more straw. It's kind of a cool look, and since we're putting a top coat over it, I'm not too concerned, but it does make me want to get the top coat done more quickly. This is our western exposure that we did this morning, and here you can clearly see where some of the amounts of clay have been washed away. But after it was all said and done, a little bit of the top portion of the clay did get washed off, but nothing that we even consider damage. So what we've done is we've taken tarps, secured the finished walls that we have done. So what we're going to do is, as we progress with the first coat, we'll just put tarp back up over it. We were so enjoying not having tarps over the walls, I must admit, maybe I got a little cocky and should have been thinking a little more proactively. We're back at it with more cobbing today, and this portion that I just got done spraying using the texture hopper took about 5 minutes and approximately 2 gallons of slip. And although I'm bad-mouthing the quality of that sprayer, it is getting the job done. So, I don't know, maybe I'll have to rethink my analysis of it. The reason I bad-mouthed that thing is because I took off one of the fittings to put on the proper fitting so it would work with our air hose, and the fitting literally tore in half as I put a wrench to it. It literally just was made out of pot metal out of China. So, kind of frustrated me, but it's working now. Oh, by the way, Yvonne was busy today. A friend of ours, Tiffany Gabbard, her and her husband, Chad, are homesteaders in Cochise County as well. She came by to visit the other day. She brought us a dozen fresh eggs and a bunch of nice cactus cuttings. And so Yvonne was able to start covering these berms with cactus. And we're doing that because, especially with prickly pear, because prickly pear has a very interesting root structure. It creates a web and really helps to solidify or stabilize the ground. So she's got a couple planted over here, as well as some agaves, and it looks real nice. Otherwise, with the monsoon storm, everything seemed to have survived okay. How does it look in here, Yvonne?
Looking good.
Everything okay?
Yep.
Everything got watered.
Yes.
I'm looking at the beautiful water beads on the leaves. Very nice. The tomatoes are coming. Got some basil. Got some red tomatoes, actually. Woohoo! The orifice got clogged. So I hope you can see this. The problem was a rock got caught on the side of the orifice here, and it was preventing me from being able to pull back the air nozzle. This is one good reason, I guess, to sift the clay. Or run the slip through a strainer, which I really don't want to do. Not the wall done. That's how much we want to cob today. And of course, I figured let me just do one more filming of the sprayer just so people can get a good feel for it. And I had a couple hiccups this time. The first one was a stone getting caught between the air spray nozzle and the material feed, which wouldn't allow me to successfully expel air and then thereby shoot the material. And the second time I had a little bit of extra granulate in the clay. Without the hiccups, this would have taken 5 minutes. With the hiccups, 15 maybe. But look at me, I'm relatively clean. So it really does speed up the process and lay down a really nice coat of slip. And we'll continue to use this hopper. So all the people that had the suggestion after last video, I had actually already thought of this idea myself, but I appreciate the reinforcement and the encouragement to go ahead and get one of these, and it proved to be very successful. So if you need to spray slip, $30. Put up with its lack of quality, but it does get the job done. You can spend $100 if you want. I just didn't want to. With thunder rolling in the background, we're getting this portion of the wall done just in time. Our batch just ran out. We had just enough to finish up, and it looks like our time is running out too. Yvonne is putting the finishing touches on the front face of the wall, and we got this front corner done. This wall turned out nice and flat, and the sprayer worked out fantastic for putting on the slip. It has just streamlined our process. It's made it not only easier, but a lot faster. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below. As always, we appreciate the comments and suggestions, and we get to them as quickly as possible. Thanks very much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.
Bye.